So, as I'm now continuing on my video, sorry about the little break, but life gets in the way. We're going to talk about making up any numbers and hertz, because the hertz concept of electricity does play a factor. So now, what you don't know probably is I'm an ex-electrician. Okay, so I've had, networking is my fourth career in my lifetime, and as you can see, pretty much I'm just a workaholic, not much of a player, more of a work, and no play. All right, and it does not make me a dull boy, but it definitely makes me, you know, interesting, say the least. But nonetheless, okay, so electricity and magnetic fields, right? You can't have one without the other. It's just impossible. So when they create an article, which is ridiculous, and say we don't know where electricity comes from on Earth, that's a ridiculous statement because it comes from our magnetic field, because we have melted metal spinning at a very fast rate, which I think is a mixture of iron, cobalt, and some other stuff. Okay, that's what creates a magnetic field, just that spinning of the metal. Okay, to create electricity, all we have to do is take a magnet and run it across any conductor, like a copper wire. Okay, the speed of the actual magnet going past it is what makes the electrons move in a certain direction. Okay, causing it to create voltage. That's it. Okay, but voltage, think of it as not something that's embedded in the wire. And this, I'm not saying this is a accurate statement, but think of it as cycles per second going around the wire. Okay, now if I have a very thin piece of wire, think about how many times it has to circle around, okay, to get around that wire. But if I had a nice big fat wire, okay, how easily it would take to go around that wire. Now you would think because it was a smaller wire, it would have an easier travel path, and that's not the case. Okay, so a nice thicker wire will move our electricity a lot freer, a lot easier, less resistance, and the cycles per second, which our cycles per second based on electricity, based on the sources that we get, is 60 hertz per second. Okay, so why does that make a difference? It makes a difference from the concept of what cabling you're using. So remember we talked about the difference of twist in the wire. Okay, that eliminates our crosstalk. But remember that each pair has a different twist. Okay, now the reason why is because we do not want those magnetic fields of each transmission of each pair to sync up with each other and start bleeding information in between each one of the magnetic fields. Within those magnetic fields, it's information. And that information can easily bleed over into another magnetic field because it's running in parallel, it's running on the same frequency, however you want to look at it. Okay, so now we twist them to eliminate crosstalk. So if I go from a Cat 5 cable to a Cat 6 cable, what I'm going to end up getting is I'm going to end up getting more twists per inch, tighter twists maybe. Who knows? I don't know if the tightness of it actually makes a difference, but you get the idea. Okay, I'm going to get a lower possible crosstalk interference. Okay, I'm also going to get a higher signal to noise ratio, meaning that I'm going to have less noise on my wire. Okay, now Cat 6 is also suitable for gigabit speeds. Okay, now people will argue all the time that you can use just two wires or two pairs for gigabit speeds. Okay, some argue that you cannot get true gigabit speeds unless you have four pairs. Okay, do your own research. I don't really care. If I'm going to be running a Git network, I would prefer to have Cat 6. Okay, trying to run it on Cat 5, I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm not saying I haven't seen it. I'm not saying that it won't work. I'm just saying that's what I would do if I was capable of doing it. Because you got to realize something in our field. It's not about what you want to happen. It's about what the company is willing to pay for. Okay? Your job as an engineer is to convince them why they should spend all that money on infrastructure to go from a Cat 5 system to Cat 6 system, because it ain't cheap, okay? And I mean it's not cheap. And unless it is built very efficiently as far as replacing cables, okay, you got drilling that you got to do as well, drilling through floors. And I mean thick concrete floors, big, huge holes enough to make it so the next time, right, if I decide to go from Cat 6 to something else, all right, I'm going to put a pipe in between to keep that hole in the floor to run my cables through. So going from floor to floor isn't that big of a deal in the first, next time. Does that make sense? Okay. It ain't your choice. It's theirs. Okay. All right. Argue with them all you want, but remember what I told you. That's what we call a resume updating event. I, I mean, think about the words I just said. Okay. All right. So your job is to educate, not to demand, because you have no right to demand. It's not your money. They're paying you. They're paying you to provide a service. Your service is customer service. And you know what's funny? So many people they just don't get that. They just don't get that aspect of it. And that's what you're there for. All right? You're getting paid for a service. Provide service. Don't worry about the money, because the money's going to come if you provide a service. All right? Yes, there's lots of people out there. Okay? There's lots of things that dictate what your pay should be. Okay? Sometimes just asking gets you a higher pay. Who knows? Okay? But still. All right? So one thing I wanted to discuss, because Auto DMX, MDIX, or whatever it's called. Okay? I don't even know if I even spelled it right. This is the concept of when we're going from device to device. Remember we talked about the transmit and the receive, and they have to be swapped if you're going through the same type of device that has the same transmit and received in the same pin number, right? Remember our pins 1 through 8? Remember that some devices, okay, now when I say some, I mean this is technology that is by default used in every network card out there on, I would assume, regardless. Okay, I'm not saying that's the way it is. Okay, I'm just saying I personally wouldn't make a network card without having Auto DMX as a feature of a network card. Okay, part of you understanding about those pins and those and that transmission is you understanding that if I'm going from a switch to a switch, okay, remember you have a positive and a negative electrical charge. That is what turns your light on those ports. Okay, and I'm pointing at my switch like you can see it, but you get the idea. Without that electrical signal, your ports are not going to light up. It's not going to be activated. It's not going to transmit electrical signal. Interesting. So in order for me to transmit electrical signal, I have to have electricity there? Yes. Okay. Obviously, right? So once you plug it in on one side and plug it on the other, okay, the positive and negative is going to hit those ports and turn the actual port light on. Okay. If it's not shut down. Now, if you don't see that, okay, most likely you're going to need something like this. Okay. And do not get it twisted. I have been doing cabling as far as doing my own. Not that I've actually worked for a cabling company. Okay. Since 1996. And recently I ran this cable, which I don't know if you can see it or not, but I got a cable running on my wall because I got a switch over there for my servers. Okay. And that sucker wouldn't come on. So this device I used, okay, and it's a crossover cable. So as the lights go down on one side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this should be hopping around, because once I hit 1 on this side, I should be hitting 3 on this side. 1 to 3, 2 to 6. Remember we talked about the pins? All right, when I hit 2, I should be hitting 6. Well, guess what? Up here, it would say 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It would skip the 2. That means somehow, okay, I did not get the second pin crimped in correctly. Okay? That's it. But remember, with these devices, I'm sending signal down and back. Okay, meaning that I have no idea which side is messed up. Is it 6 on this side of the cable, or is it 2 on the other side? So I just redid them both. Okay, now again, you can get a lot more sophisticated ones. Okay, that will literally tell you what pairs are not working. Okay, and they're awesome. This is just a small device I had. It probably costs like $5. Okay, that I happen to have I mean, God, guys, I mean, years ago, decades ago, and it was just, and it just sits in my, my stuff. So that's what I used to figure out why my cable wasn't working, because I was like, I know I crimped this right, and of course, I didn't. So, all right. So nonetheless, now remember we talked about. Look at the screen here now. Remember we talked about how we can make up any number. Okay, I mean any number with these sets of numbers. Okay. Now let's go to the calculator and let's find out what happens if we turn all our bits off. Okay. We know we turn all of them off. Okay. If they were all zeros. Okay. Oops. Matter of fact, let me get rid of this other row. Oops, 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 oops. If they were all zeros, then obviously no bits are turned on, no values are turned on. Okay, so our number will be 0. However, if we turn them all on, yeah, I got a microphone. I just have not gotten a pen and pad yet. That's going to take me some time. I have found work, and of course, as I'm working, no one ever knows where I'm working at, so don't even ask. And but the thing is, I have to wait for background checks and stuff like that to go through. So it's going to be a bit before I actually get a pad and a pen. And things will be a lot better once I do. But nonetheless, right now, I'm recording myself, which I've never done before, within the video. So I mean, hand gestures will be just as good. So now, if I take a calculator and I say, if that's the case, then I add up all my numbers, right, to have a 1 underneath it. 256 plus 128 plus 64. Okay, what is going on? 256 plus 128 is not 384. What is going on? Okay, all right. And I know this because wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. This is my stupidity right here. All right. Let's take this. Boom. See, this is what happens when you teach stuff and not practice first. Okay, so all right, let's do this. Let's go back here. No, I'm sorry. Escape, get rid of you. Boom, boom, boom. These are your 8 bits. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Okay, these are your 8 bits. Now let's go back to my calculator. All right, and add this up again. All right, now, one thing I want you guys to understand, the reason why I record all this stuff and I don't hide it, and I don't go back and edit it out and try to make it seem like I'm this superstar, because I'm not. Okay? All right, 15 years in the field and see what I'm doing right now. All right? It is impossible to be on point 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never make a mistake. Guys, mistakes is who we are. We're human. Get over it. Okay? Just accept it and just move on. You see, that doesn't bother me one way or another how me doing that affects, okay, how you see me. Because what happens is I quickly figure out what my mistake is, Okay, and I'm telling you, that ability to do that is something that is practiced over a period of time. Remember, success equals time plus sacrifice. Over a period of time, you'll start realizing your mistakes because you keep repeating them. And you being self-aware of who you are and the mistakes that you make starts to become a part of your subconscious and starts to play a fact of your understanding that things take time over a period of time. Okay, and success is measured in this, where failures are measured in this, and it takes this much failures to have one success. That's why the endorphins in your brain get so happy when you finally succeed. Okay, so we'll count these, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now, remember what I said before, 256 plus 128 is not 384. Okay, in my brain at that moment, that's when I realized, no, bullcrap, the chances of a calculator being wrong and you being right over the calculator is slim to none. Okay, so go back and rethink on why it's added up to 384, okay? And tell yourself why you're wrong. This is, for some reason, a catastrophic disease in most of our brains as human beings. And that needs to be eliminated as far as we're going through this, because we need to start understanding what we're doing wrong in order to get the results that we need to get, okay? And not be afraid of showing other people how wrong you are. Okay, it's part of the process. All right, that's what makes my videos as popular as they were back in the day, because boy, oh my God, I can't imagine, the failures and the frustration people would get watching my videos. Like, man, I can't watch this guy anymore. Hey, too bad. But as time went on, you got to see my progress. You got to see my journey. You got to understand when you would do those things, like, well, shit, I mean, Kyle did it. He actually filmed it. I mean, that dumbass can show everybody how dumb he is. I mean, it's part of the training process. It is what it is, right? All right. So that part is why we do the things we do. Now, so we got 8 bits. Okay. Remember, every number in an IP address is 8 bits in length. Okay. Meaning that if I take 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. Now remember what I said, that every number in an IP address is from 0 to 255. 0 being all the bits off, 255 being all the bits on. That's why our number can never go higher than 255, because we only have 8 bits allocated. Okay? And what's going to happen is these numbers here, okay, 192, right here, 224, 240, 248, 252, 254, 255. These numbers are going to start being embedded into your brain. Okay, they have relationships. They have relationships with each other. I don't know if I said the same word twice, but you get the idea. All right, they're relevant to each other. So even though we're counting numbers, based on our bits that are turned on, and we're only using 8 bits, these numbers, 192, 224, 240, 248, 252, 254, 255, you'll start seeing them pop up a lot, period. Okay? All right? Now, as we get into subnetting, we're going to start talking about how to subnet. Now, fair warning, okay? Subnetting is not going to be as simple as I show you how to do it, okay? In fact, I'm going to go back and read about how to do it on a bit-by-bit level, because that's how they're going to teach you on paper. If you really want to learn subnetting, do not, under any circumstances, take what I teach you and that be it. You better do some reading. If there's anything that I am adamant about, is this: read the documentation I don't care if it's Cisco subnetting. I don't care if it's somebody else's subnetting. Read documentation with the video training, okay? Because I'm telling you, all right, it is crucial for you to understand what it really means off paper, explain to you bit by bit how subnetting is done, okay? Don't play around with it, all right? And I'm telling you right now, if you're going for a Cisco exam, okay, I'm not saying these exams are the way they are, but I'm telling you how they were when I was doing it. All right? Okay? Now, once you pass your CCNA, you have to keep it up. Okay? But what if you decide not to? What if you decide to let it expire? Okay? Some people don't really care about that because at the same point, you got the CCNA. Who cares if it expires? Right? That's their logic behind it. Okay? Plus, they don't want to spend time and money every 2 years to actually renew it. Okay. Now the thing about it is every higher certification that you get, when you pass it, every lower certification gets renewed with it. So that's the cool thing about it is. So if my CCIE expires, okay, all I got to do is go out and get another CCIE. That will renew my previous CCIE and all my certifications underneath it, which is great. All right, so no big deal, but it is a big deal for CCNA because you got to go back and first of all, you got to take 2 years to study on average the new material that you're learning if you're going to go for a different CCIE. You could always go back and renew the same CCIE, but you still got to go through the 8-hour exam and spend this, whatever, how much it costs now, right? And do all that stuff to get it renewed. So if you're going to do that, you might as well do it on something new and become a dual CCIE. And that's what I'm doing now, okay? All right, not that I'm saying my stuff is expired, but you get the idea. All right, the concept is there's reasons why you see the numbers that you do. All right, read. Do not take my training on subnetting the only training. Okay, all right. Subnetting is not the easiest thing to teach, and it's not and it needs to be 100% accurate, and mistakes are so easy because I can literally say the number in my head. It's supposed to be 128 and literally write out 240, okay, and go back and teach it off that, and go deep and deep far down, basing it off of 240 when it should have been off of 128 the whole time, okay. So now from that moment on to that whole video, I believe the video is solid. You see it, you believe it's solid because you're not smart enough, or I should say not knowledgeable enough of the subject to know where I made a mistake. Okay, hopefully someone will catch it and I'll take the video down and redo it. Okay, but at the same time, sometimes it doesn't happen. All right, and now you taught something wrong and now you have a wrong understanding of subnetting. And we don't want that to happen. So under no circumstances are you not to read on this subject when I teach it. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys. And always remember, be strong, be determined, be Cisco.